Guru Nation, how's it going? I'm here with Chris Sauber, walking and talking, because we're looking at office space. So we got asked some questions, Chris, from the community, and we might have might have answers too. Maybe we'll
count on it.
Maybe we'll take a detour here because there's a bench we could sit down.
So it's less noisy too.
Yeah, a little bit less noisy, and it lets us rest our weary bones. So the first question: why is it? This is good for you. Why is it that CRC are not allowed to see the budget, but CRAs speak to CRCs as if they are involved or know what it is? One of my coordinators received an email that tipped off that a budget was going to be sent. Our management quickly interjected to ensure that it was taken to another thread. And then the CRA sent the budget to the CRC, only addressed to her anyways. So basically, here, let's have a seat.
First, I would start, it's unusual for CRAs to be involved in the budget process at all.
Right.
I don't know why a CRA's sending budgets. That's usually not within their field of expertise.
Right. But why is it, I guess the deeper philosophical question is, why is it that CRCs are not allowed to see budgets?
Well, that's probably because the management or the ownership doesn't want the individuals at the site to know what's being paid out, what they're receiving in terms of revenue. If you were to see a budget and say the site is getting $1 million a subject, well, the staff may want to raise.
Yeah, the staff may say, hey, wait a minute. I know what's going on. I know what's involved with running a study, and I'm only getting paid X amount of dollars.
Yeah, and when they're getting all this revenue, where's my raise?
Right. So then the CRA sent the budget anyways to the CRC, even after management told them keep it separate. So that's why in a nutshell, there's very little transparency when it comes to sites and CRCs and the budgets, unless you're like our company.
Sure, that's not, I was just going to say.
Because we do profit sharing with our coordinators.
Not only that, I mean, the coordinators are often directly involved with the budgets. It's probably okay to name these people. Casey, she receives all the payments.
Monica
the same.
These are invaluable people to us. We can't operate, we can't function without them.
That's absolutely correct.
So, but not everyone is like us, guys. That's the thing. I guess that's the bottom line of this question.
Yeah, the bottom line
not everyone could be Dan and Chris.
And the bottom line is ownership does not want to know what the staff, they don't want the staff to know what the revenue streams are.
Right.
How much and how
There's
often.
no need. You're on a need-to-know basis, and you don't need to know.
Exactly.
All right, next question. This person asked a lot. They got a lot on their chest. What does feasible staff of CRCs look like? How many studies should they run or not run? So what's feasible for a coordinator? We've done an entire webinar on this, by the way. I'm going to email you the link to that webinar, how to assess your CRC workload.
So, that's a huge scale there. I mean, it could be one study, depending on the study, right? If you're seeing 500 patients, right, for a vaccine trial or something, and there's 10 patient visits a day, you probably need more than one coordinator.
Yeah.
But let's just take a typical example in which I would say really the best way to break it down, depending on how involved the patient visits are, you're probably looking at no more than 2 patient visits a day, maybe 3, again, for a typical study, right? A vaccine trial, I understand, is very simple. Not a lot of paperwork, not a lot of EDC entry, not a lot of regulatory you're dealing with. But a typical study in which the patients are coming once every other week, I would say a study coordinator probably can handle 3 active trials and maybe a couple that are closing down.
All right. Yeah, Chris answered that very well, and we did a webinar on this, actually. I'll email it to you. This one's interesting. Why is it that my CV is created by my management and only includes 2 out of the many studies I am working on for a new study? I have theories to this.
Well, that's kind of interesting. I don't know.
I have an answer.
I have no answer for that. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't want to include all the studies you work on.
So universities do this a lot, but also bigger institutions do this a lot. That's really the difference between your resume and a CV. A CV is supposed to be comprehensive.
Right.
Resume is supposed to be, we learned this on Clubhouse.
Just not too long ago.
Yeah, we learned this on a Clubhouse.
Like 2 weeks ago.
So the reason, and this sounds like wherever you work doesn't sound like a great place to work.
No, and
because the reason they do this in my opinion, is because they know that CRAs are incentivized to attract coordinators to their employers.
Sure.
So they don't want to lose the really experienced and good CRCs, so they don't give the sponsors and CROs more than they need to know.
So,
this site, wherever you work, they really believe in you're on a need-to-know basis.
Yeah, right.
This is run by some tyrants.
And just to add a little more detail, so CRAs oftentimes are paid bonuses for recruiting CRCs.
Exactly.
When I was a CRC many years ago, I'd been hit up like by 3 different monitors in a very short period of time, maybe 2 months. And finally I asked, the third one to ask me, hey, have you ever considered being a CRA? I asked, is there something you get out of this? I've been asked this a lot lately.
They've been poaching you.
Yeah, and she said, yeah, I get a $6,000 bonus for any CRC I recruit.
You see?
So yes, they get something out of it.
So as a site owner, you naturally want to be defensive. Why did I train my coordinator? I'm only going to give the sponsor 2 pages of 2 studies.
That being said, though, I still don't understand why you wouldn't want to include the experience that the staff has, because that promotes your site, right? You're more likely to get a study if you look like your site has a lot of experience.
Well, they probably do just enough to where they can know they're going to get the study, but not enough to risk losing a staff member.
Yeah, I just don't think 2 studies is enough.
But you know what? This is not an excuse for you. This does not preclude you from putting your own resume out there on all the job boards. Okay, your employer is making your own resume because that's their SOP, that they do it for you. So what? You have 100% freedom to make your own resume and put it on Indeed, ZipRecruiter, LinkedIn. And honestly, it doesn't sound like you're happy with the place you're at. So why are you just letting this happen to you? I could go on a rant here, but yes, they are controlling your CV, but you are the master controller of your own destiny, not your employer. And what do you think is a good balance with regard to enrolling without doing too many visits that will put behind the quality assurance?
I don't understand the question.
Let's skip that one. What?
Do you understand that one?
No, but this gets better. What are the reasons? This is long.
Okay.
We're going to skip some of them. What are the reasons why Site Manager seems to discourage me to help the monitor search through source more easily or resolve something that could be easily resolved when the monitor asks me to during the visit? Instead, what I gather is that it's the monitor's fault if they can't find something. I see the monitor as a teammate. If a monitor can't get through their work efficiently, that could just pile up bad habits. I want monitors to complete their visit. I also want the chance to resolve something on the spot if I can leave to less action items.
So I have no answer for that. I think your site's poorly ran. Whoever's in charge of whoever's the management or the supervisor at your site needs to be fired.
Yeah, they're basically telling you, hey, don't talk to the monitor. Just let them find it. If they ask you something, don't do it. Say that's not your job. This is what they're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, but CRAs do have influence over your site getting future trials. And the more helpful you are and the easier you make it to work at your site, the more likely the CRA is going to recommend your site. So certainly you want the CRA or the CRC to be helpful with the CRA and resolve these issues that they may be having difficulty with. And the site, the management is saying, no, don't help these people, right? It's just horribly ran site.
It sounds like a great place to work. Another one, probably perfect segue. What are some common reasons you've heard about receiving a 483?
What are some things I've heard about receiving a 483?
Yeah, like the biggest, I guess what they're saying is, what are the biggest reasons for receiving a 483 for sites from FDA audits?
So oversight, PI oversight.
Lack of PI oversight.
Right, that's number one usually. Delegation of duties, that's always a problem. Well, not always, but it's a common occurrence. And issues with the informed consent process. Those are the 3 that I'm aware of that are the most common. I'm sure there's others, but those are the 3 biggest.
What are the best processes to ensure that someone does before signing off on a training log?
Before moving on to the next question, just to add a little context. So when it comes, I'm sure you understand by the informed consent process and PI oversight what those encompass.
Yeah, we just did a CRA Academy module. We're redoing it.
Yeah, we did.
We actually have one more Friday to do.
Well, Monday.
Okay, let's do Monday. Monday's better.
But when it comes to delegation of duties, what I mean by that is oftentimes there's There's individuals doing things, working on the trial, documentations, source gathering, right? If I can put this right. Gathering data within the source that are not delegated for that duty. That's the problem with the delegation of duties. They're not listed for that item, or they're not listed at all on the delegation of duties.
Chris Sauber with the heat, fresh off of a brand new CRA Academy module. Shameless plug, www.thecraacademy.com. But wait, it gets better.
Yeah.
There's more, and I skipped some. So it looks like this is a site that is not letting their CRC see budgets. That's common. Probably overworking their staff, limiting the CV potential of the employee, work-life balance. Okay, we answered that one. Site manager seems to discourage to help the monitor. 483, so preparing for FDA audit probably. And finally, what are the best process to ensure that someone does before signing off on a training log? So, like, what's the process of a training log? Like, when the protocol gets amended.
So,
who's supposed to do the training?
So the PI is supposed to do the training, if not the CRA.
Can the CRC do it?
So the CRC can.
Yeah.
But they prefer if the PI is doing it. But yeah, the CRC can train a new employee on the protocol.
And they prefer the PIs doing it to relate it to the last question, which is PI oversight.
Correct.
Does the PI have enough, responsibility and oversight to be able to do the training for the new staff?
Certainly.
Or for the new amendment. So basically, read the protocol. They usually give you a summary of changes when there's an amendment. So it's okay to just read the summary of changes. And everyone documents that they've been trained. And CRAs do this sometimes, but it's not always. It's PI, but it needs to get done. It needs to get documented. Coordinators can do it too. And that's thankfully the last question, but it sounds like you need to find another place to work.
Yeah.
Or just stick through it. I mean, maybe you're just building up the experience.
Yeah, maybe she's new to research and doesn't understand how these things work.
Well, thank you, Chris. This was enlightening. Eye-opening.
Eye-opening, all right.
No, I liked it. We gave a good, and we're giving a sneak peek of where we might be opening our office, but we don't know yet. I prefer not that place, by the way.
Yeah? No?
No. I prefer another place.
Well, our potential business partner prefers this place.
Yeah, so good thing I'm moving to Arizona. But thank you, Chris. Anything else?
No.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Good luck out there.